Okay, today we're going to go ahead and install some new hood latches on this 2014 JKU. These work with the JKU or the JK for 2007 to 2018. To do this, you'll need the Allen wrenches that they provide for you in the box, a pry bar or a flathead screwdriver, an 8mm socket, 10mm socket, and a 13mm socket along with a ratchet. So the first step, you're going to have to go ahead and pop up these clips onto the grill. So again, you can use a flathead or a pry bar. I like to use a pry bar so it doesn't damage the paint. Stick those off to the side, go throughout. Looks like that we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them. And you will have to make sure you do pull out the top and bottom pieces. Once you have that, you will then go ahead and gently flip them out. You'll notice that there are pry clips here into the frame, the cross member for the radiator support, and you will also want to undo your lights. They simply twist, pull out, twist and pull out. So the next step, once you have these out, you will then be able to get a little bit better access to the bottom of these hood latch mounts. They're right inside. It is one nut, and it is a 13mm nut. Yeah, there's definitely not much room, as you can see. If you have a very small extension, that might help you. Nice thing about this kit, they'll actually be giving you new hardware, so you actually will not have to reuse. Okay, once you have that side done, you'll then go to the next side. And once you have these out, you can go ahead and throw them away, whatever you want to do with them, because they're not really the greatest. They are flimsy as no other. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on putting the new pieces on. So the first step is going to be pretty much similar to what you did before. You're going to stick these in, line them up, and then you're going to have to put in the nut in the back half. Again, this is going to be challenging because you have limited room. So you want to make sure you figure out a way to keep it from falling out. Looks like what we're going to do instead is we're going to go ahead, take the Allen wrenches that they provide. We're going to take off this buckle to give us room to try to tighten the Allen wrench head socket that they give us. As again, there's not much room back in there. Now, if you did decide you want to, because you got really big hands like me, you could go ahead and take out the whole headlight assembly, but that would be just way too much work, in my opinion, instead of just doing this. So as you can see, that gives us access now to that bolt. So it should make life a little bit easier. Okay, make sure it's tight, doesn't wobble to and fro. And then from that step, we are going to go ahead and start putting this back on. Now they do give you a gasket that can go in between here and that. That's totally up to you if you want to put it on or not. You really don't have any worries about leaking, anything like that. The biggest thing is if you want to protect the paint or not, but from what I can tell from this kind of set, it doesn't look like you really need them. So go ahead, put this back in. And retighten them. Okay, and at this point we now have to do the top half to finish this. But before we do the top half, we're going to go ahead and do the bottom half on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how you would put on the gasket in case you want to use them. Again, they are just plastic inserts to really protect this area here. So you just lay them onto there. And then as you can see, you would just stick it just like that. Alright, again, that's up to you if you want to use them or not. I am preferring that I'm probably not going to use them. I'm going to go ahead and put this together just to show you how you put it on. As you can see, it's going to put a little bit more of a gap than there is before. So as just before, remember this is a tight area. It's best to try to take all the buckle apart, just like I did on the last one, and thread the bolt on. It'd come in very handy if you use an Allen wrench instead. That would be with a socket versus this. But if this is all you got because you don't have a nice Allen set, then this is what you got. I do have one, but I'm going to show you how difficult it is using what they provide you. So far, the quality of the materials do seem pretty superb for the price of 74 bucks. Not too shabby, and they seem way better than what they give you from factory, because a lot of people, those things break, they cause your hood to flap while driving down the highway, all of that pretty garbage stuff. Not quite sure where Jeep decided to start cutting funds. They charge more for a Jeep Wrangler, but yet they give you less quality stuff. So as before, put this back on, thread in the Allens. And like I said, this is all metal, so it shouldn't flap at all. Okay, once you have the bottoms on, you now got to move to the top. And as you can see, when you're looking at it, there are two smaller nuts. This is where you're going to use the 10mm. And as you can tell, they're not really on there that tight. And you simply pull out, take off this, and voila, you have the bracket out. The other piece of the crap that Chrysler decides to put on. And we'll go to the other side, do the same, and then we'll install our new. And as you can see on the factory here, they actually use some kind of quite welded, kind of pounded in studs, which that kind of makes me a little concerned, as this Jeep would have sat, and over the years, especially being in the Rust Belt of the United States, I live in Pennsylvania, this would be extremely rough to get off in a couple years. So from this point, we now got to install the other pieces. Alright, so right here we have gasket B, or gasket C, I forget what the instructions said, but you're putting this right onto this groove right in here, snapping it down. This is the other gasket, so B or C, and it goes right there. And you're taking the Allen wrench, head sockets, and putting them right in. This is going to be the direction it goes, and then you're going to put them on, nuts on the back. This is important. Do not tighten these down hand tight yet. Let them slightly loose, because we will have to adjust them to make sure that they fit properly for the hood. As you can see, I'm using a nut driver. You could use a ratchet and socket. That's completely fine. That's totally up to you. I prefer the nut driver. It makes things a lot easier in this. And again, this is the 10mm socket. And now we lower the hood to test fit. And as you can see, I've already put in the driver's side. It's the opposite of what we did for the passenger side. So you can see this silver will hit the hook and go forward as such. So right where we have it appears to be an appropriate fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this side. And as you can see, it's all nice and tight on the hood. So again, we tested, we're going to hand tighten. Verify it's still good. Still good. Now we're going to go to the other side and make sure it is sufficient. As you can see, it was just a tad up. So about right where we have it there is where we want it. And hand tighten this as you get there. As you can see, fit has now been verified. So the last step that we have to do now at this point is put back the grill. It's relatively easy, it's just opposite. So again, make sure you put back in your lights. Make sure that these clips go into the proper holes. And then at top, you're going to be reinserting these. I recommend doing the ends first and then working in the middle. And then once you have that done, close the hood. And enjoy your work of art. As you can see, they look much, much more rugged than they have in the past with those little flimsy pieces. And I propose that they will not flip and flop as much as going down the highway. Again, please see comments, description for link to purchase.